Welcome, everybody. We are back right side of campus. It's Friday, March 3rd, 2017. Donnie back with me here live. Donnie, we're back. It's Friday. Listen, I got to tell you, man, this is just my whole inference here. Is this not the best time of the year? Like, I love this time. I literally, I can't wait every day to wake up and do this every day.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, outside of, one of my favorite weeks of the year would be like the divisional playoff round in the NFL when that gets underway. There's nothing better. I mean, look at the card today. I mean, you're starting MVC at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. It's taking you all the way through. You're going to have it Saturday, Sunday, and then the big boys jump into play next week. And then, of course, March Madness kicks off after that in Dayton. A lot of fun, man. I agree, big man.
Yeah, it's God. Obviously, there's people that really just love the blue blood programs and all and everything. But I mean, you can't knock it into some of the things that happen, this week and even in the next week. I mean, we finally have some day basketball. We have a game at 1 o'clock. You got a game at 3. I think the biggest thing that I need to make aware, and I think you will generally agree with this. Just because a game is on TV does not mean you need to bet it. There's a very isolated situations yesterday. Campbell, that Campbell game, that was the only game on. All I see on Twitter is Campbell tickets and UNC Asheville talk. It's very important that you're watching the team.
Yeah.
Because if you don't watch the team, you don't know how those two teams, you don't know the way they play offense. You don't know the way they run defense. It's very important that you do your homework and watch the teams.
Yeah, stats don't always tell the truth. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, looking at Ken Palm and finding as many stats as you can throughout the internet, StatFox, whatever sites that you're using, pay sites that give you the stats and information. But sometimes I agree, big man, just looking at the teams, the way they flow and match up against each other, adding that to the equation is key. And again, you pointed it out yesterday when you tweeted out, most people don't know where Campbell is. Most people don't know if it's even a college, and yet they're going to lay their hard-earned money down, never seeing them before. It's always good to get that knowledge. And again, ESPN3, there's a lot of, publications and applications out there where you can go back and watch some of these games previously. It's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, that would just be my, again, trends aren't always, your guiding light to winning in sports betting. You obviously, you should go and make it a point to watch, the games that you're dealing with. Donnie, a couple things from yesterday that I took away from what we saw. Obviously, we'll start right out with, this Radford-Campbell kind of duo here. Who would have thought in the semifinals we would be seeing Campbell and Radford heading into the final to play Winthrop or Gardner-Webb? What a surprise. Chris Clemens goes off yesterday for 51. He's the only other player other than Jimmer Fredette to score over 50 points in a conference tournament. The kid put him on his back. And again, I mean, how is that? What a performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's your conference, and you've been slaying it there. And you're talking about people rising up. I mean, these kids, they're not probably going to make the CIT, the CIB, the NIT. I mean, this is them living their life in a matter of days trying to get to the big dance. They know they're not going to win it all. They know they're not going to be cutting down the nets at the end of the tournament. This right now is what they play for and live for. And these kids stepping up, having huge games. I think I even saw one where obviously going over 50 points. The only other person to do that or last person to do that was Jimmer Fredette in a conference tournament. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I remember that game against, I believe it was New Mexico in the conference tournament. Just he went off. It was pretty important. But you got an interesting game today. Radford Campbell in a pick'em. It's on my premium card, which I was excited about. Obviously, look, I'm not going to go too much into it, but I think we all know probably where I'm going in this game, Donnie. Just a little foreshadowing to people there. Another one, Ryan. I keep calling you Ryan. My co-host, Ryan. My new co-host, Donnie RightSide. We got Northern Florida. We got Florida Gulf Coast. We got Florida basketball in the forefront. ASUN Championship Sunday. Should be a great game. I'm excited about it. I know Paul Howard doesn't agree with me on the line. Obviously, you might be a little bit north of 10, but I think if you're giving North Florida 10 points in this spot, personally, I'm going to be looking for them in this one.
Yeah, no, I think you're going to get, we always talk about in baseball like the Yankee tax or like, the New York Giants tax, just because the amount of people that know the team and that bet the team. Same thing might apply here, big man. You're looking at Florida Gulf Coast. I mean, Andy Enfield started it up. You saw the run. They made, a couple big wins in the tournament. The public knows this team. They don't really know too much about North Florida. So I think you're actually going to get a little bit more value on North Florida, even though the game in the conference is going to be at Florida Gulf Coast there. I tend to agree. They're playing some really good basketball. I know, again, this conference is what you really dig into, make your money in. Any early thoughts on that game? Or I know you are going to like North Florida probably with the points in this situation, but is there any little details that you might be looking at this game that might give you the edge?
Well, look, I got to look at, obviously we want to see what the line is. And clearly I would probably peg it. I think it's going to be like 4 to 7 points.
I don't think it's going to. I mean, Ken Pom last night had it 13 and has it 12 today. So, I mean, looks like it's a double-digit number.
Yeah, if you give me double digits, I'm going to look to the underdog here. Listen, I like Florida Gulf Coast. I like what they're doing down there. They're obviously probably the best team in this conference. But this North Florida team, when they get going offensively, they're very tough to beat. They went in, and they actually, I got to tell you, I know the score was kind of, it didn't really make sense as far as they played good defense. But for the most part, for the first 35 minutes of that basketball game, they held a very good Lipscomb team offensively in check. Lipscomb wasn't really able to run their offense that they wanted to do. I just thought they played better than I thought they would offensively. I mean, you look at last night, they were a 9.5-point underdog against Lipscomb. They went in, won the game outright by double digits nearly. For me, I'm going to probably hold my nose and take the points there. I think Dallas Moore is a kid that can, like Chris Clemens, put his team on his back. And they have some other kids down there, Aminu and some other guys, Garrett Sams, that can, they're going to be involved. I think this is a kind of a warrior type of match. I think it comes down to the final couple of minutes, personally.
Yeah. By the way, on the chat box there, Vitalis is asking us about the Monmouth game. I absolutely love this conference. The one thing that I don't like early on is a team that's going to step into an away arena. I mean, they've been there. They played there before, obviously. But it's an away arena where a team played there the last night and is going to catch them. Clearly today, Monmouth is the better team over Niagara. Niagara got hot and won yesterday. There's a lot of carryover effect in these smaller conference tournaments where that team played well the night before and is going to play a team coming in cold the next day. Should Monmouth win this game handily? Absolutely. It's not a spot, Vitalis, I'd be looking at, just for the simple fact is I like my team to have one game already in play when you're going against a team that's already played. If they both matched up today, first time on that floor we're going to play, Monmouth would probably blow the doors off. But a team coming in a little bit hot, has the sight angles down. It's a bigger arena than you're typically used to playing in that Metro Atlantic Conference. I would stay away here. I do like Monmouth as a side because I think they win the conference. But as an overall rule of thumb for myself, I stay away from this type of situation.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm one to definitely ride momentum of certain teams. When you're getting a new team, obviously, new, and they've played there before, but, obviously they're not as maybe fresh as maybe a team that played last night. How about Ryder last night, Donnie? They escaped with didn't come close to getting a cover, up 7 at half. But you look at Ryder, I mean, just really couldn't get any sort of separation from a pretty poor Manhattan team. And I think that kind of just goes to show you this Manhattan team, they just kind of somehow turn it up in the tournament. They're going to be in games. They're going to hang in games. I kind of liked Ryder from a side perspective. I didn't really go too in depth with it, but Manhattan, they almost had it last night.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, we watched it, being on Skype, watching it live back and forth. It looked like, to the naked eye, they lost the game on the layup at the buzzer, which was taken away, which rightfully so. There's about a half second left on the clock when he still had the ball in his hand. But Ryder needed a late three to pull that game out. Never should have been that close. But that just goes to tell you, in these conference tournaments, neutral site, smaller crowd. I mean, the arena's still, 16, 17,000, but smaller crowd. Anything goes. People are teams and coaches playing for their lives in that situation. It was a tough one, but it's always hard to get the first one. And, talking on the podcast there, I'm a big Ryder fan. Not to say they can win the conference, but as a hedge opportunity, I thought they would be able to get that win and keep on moving on. They're going to match up over the weekend. I believe it's versus Iona in that situation. Again, they're going to already have played a game, comfortable in that environment. If Iona catches, a new sight lines they're not used to and not hitting their threes, that's another situation that you might want to look at down the line.
And you look at it in that conference tonight, Red Hot St. Peter's playing their first game in this conference tournament, and they're going to host a Canisius team that didn't play particularly well yesterday against Marist, did escape at the win. They split this season series. Obviously, we know St. Peter's rolling as far as from a ATS perspective. But again, you got to look at the clash in styles in this one. St. Peter's, very good defensive team. They want to play in the half court, only give up about 60 points a game overall. You get a Canisius team who, look, They're not going to wow you on the defensive end. They're not good defensively at all, but they are playing better defensively lately. And you also look at the fact that they can fill it up. They run a run. They want to play on the perimeter. They don't have a specific big down low that's really going to play on the block. They want to go out, kind of play on the perimeter. Interesting clash of styles in this one. I got to tell you, though, I don't feel like I don't like St. Peter's today, honestly. I kind of want to keep riding. I like their season success, but I think anything goes in these tournaments.
Yeah, chat box again there. Garrett Horton sends in Stevie Jordan not playing the last 4 minutes because of attitude issues. He's on Sunday. I had a premium play with Ryder for the simple fact that when he's in the lineup and playing well and playing full minutes, Ryder's a pretty good advantage versus most teams. They blew Quinnipiac out of the building for that last premium play. But again, sitting the last 4 minutes there, attitude issues, suspensions, missing a couple games here. They need that kid right. And now I know Kevin Baggett, good coach, getting him on their way, but now's not the time to make a point in the conference.
Yeah, come on, Kevin. Yeah, I agree.
Come on. Hey, let him run stairs after the tournament. You know what I mean? Come on.
It's interesting that it's Kevin Baggett considerably. Is this Kevin Baggett or is this Stevie Jordan? He's a freshman.
Yeah.
This is
a key part. I mean, it's not you already sat him once.
High horse.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, man. Let the kid play.
And it's your conference tournament. Get off your high horse.
Yep. Jeff, there you go. On the Oliver Tan on the chat box, we got Akron and Kent State. Do you have any thoughts on that one that you want to give out here or no?
Yeah, you and I talked about this one this morning. Game doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot with the naked eye, but I'm going to tell you right now, these schools separated by several miles. This is a pretty big rivalry in the great state of Ohio, kind of the Cleveland-ish type of battle here. Listen, Akron, I think, needs to get right heading into this conference tournament. They are not playing well. They've had some questionable losses, not only at home, but on the road. I know it's senior night, I believe, for Kent State. But I think added motivation here is the key for Akron. I don't know. I don't think that can win you games solely, motivation, that kind of stuff. But I think this is a good spot for Akron. Keith Dambrot, we're going to learn a lot about how good a coach he is. I think he needs to get this team focused tonight. I need to see a nice performance from them. Listen, Kent is rolling. They're playing well. The key for Kent State, rebounding. And that's where they're going to have a big edge in this game. Jimmy Hall is a fantastic rebounder. This is a great offensive rebound team. They're going to have a lot of easy opportunities. I want to hope Akron is going to be prepared for this game. They're going to want to care about this game. At the end of the day, though, it means little to nothing in their conference tournament. This is the last game. I would hope they're prepared here. But, again, I'm not wanting to risk money on hoping. Yeah, that's just not what I want to do. This Kent State team, Donnie, second in the country in offensive rebounding per game. The only team ahead of them, mighty North Carolina. We know how good they are on the rebounding edge. That's going to be key here for Kent State.
Just jumping in some action here. It's a game that if it was a couple weeks ago, I really like it. I would dip into it. The one thing I question here is for Akron. They don't have anything to play for. They can only hurt themselves. And what I mean by that is, Isaiah Johnson goes down, Cheatham goes down, Robotham goes down with an injury. They have the conference tournament coming up, top seed locked up. On the flip side, you have a senior night where they're going to send Jimmy Hall off there. 5 straight wins for Kent to end the season. They already beat Akron in that stretch 2 weeks ago. Also, they have something to play for, jockeying for position in the MAC East, trying to get that second place spot. It's one of those things I completely agree with Big Man. I don't like to lay it out there and put hard-earned money on something of the unknown. I like to bet in a vacuum where I know the exact situation. You could see Akron coming out and saying, I agree. We got to get right. We got to get a W here. Let's go on the road, get a hard-fought win, and head into the tournament. But I can also see kids being kids going, hey, man, the big prize, whether or not we win this game means nothing to us. The big prize is next week when we can head down to the Q in Cleveland and wrap it up and head to the actual big dance itself. It's one of those games I would tend to stay away from just from the situational point of view. Kent has a little bit more to play for, but when it all boils down to, nobody's going to the tournament off of this game alone. So.
No, agreed, 100%. We got a game coming up here, Donnie, at 1 o'clock Eastern in the Missouri Valley over at St. Louis, the Arch Madness. And I want to tell you, I got an angle here, and I think I want to make it known. This Illinois State team playing some good basketball all year. We all know that. But they're not covering. I mean, you look at lately, they're not covering games. I actually like the way this Evansville team's playing lately. 78 points a game, really shooting a nice percentage from the field. And we've talked before, Donnie, about coaching. Marty Simmons, former great, in the Missouri Valley. It's interesting. If you look at him now, you would never believe he was a great player in the Missouri Valley. Big guy now, but that's what happens when you get older, But great coach. He always, 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 always fields a very good team. Illinois State's good. They're defensively very good as well. But I think we get Evansville today getting a little too many points here. I think this is a game that's probably a little bit more close to the vest. I don't like what I've seen lately from Illinois State. They failed to cover in 4 or 5. They're not shooting the ball particularly well, only averaging about 62 points a game. I know Evansville struggled a little bit lately from the defensive end. Again, I know this could be a blowout, but people are asking my opinion. I kind of like Evansville in this spot. I think they hang in the number. I think they're good enough. I think they're well coached enough. Plus, you also got to look at the foul line. Huge discrepancy here. Illinois State does not hit foul shots. That can be you look at last night, certain games, that can be a way you lose games. For me, I kind of like Evansville in this spot.
Yeah, I'm not laying, double digits in this situation. The same thing would apply what we were just talking about also, big man. One team played in that environment, had a very nice night. They're going to carry a little bit of momentum in. Illinois State hasn't been there. Again, another big arena that you're going to be playing in, not one of those little bandboxes that you might be used to, different sight lines. You're going to have to play and play well to cover double digits on a neutral court in any situation, much less a team coming in with picking up a win last night versus Indiana State. I look for them to hang within that number, so I technically agree on that point of view. I won't be betting this game, but if you're asking me, you know what, just to go ahead and pick it, give me the 10.5 points on an early day start out there with the team that's hot. I'll take it.
Yeah, you got to figure. It's basically noon Eastern, or noon as far as local time there for them in that one. 10.5. I think if you're getting a little double digit, I could see like a 71-62 type of game or something.
Absolutely.
Maybe they hang right inside the number. Let's keep it moving. Couple more. We'll kind of take some questions here. We will have a play of the day at the end. 1-1 on that one. Donnie, I believe, is going to give us our play of the day today.
Yeah, we got it.
We got 871-872 Detroit Mercy 1.5 against Milwaukee. I like Detroit Mercy in this game. I would probably lean them on this one. Again, we have to understand these are two bad basketball teams. They're not going to do anything in this tournament. This is their last game probably. There's no way in hell I'd back Milwaukee. None. Zero. They're a bad road team. You actually have one saving grace here. Detroit does basically get a home game. This is at Joe Louis Arena, which, Donnie, I know we've talked about Detroit Mercy. At times this year, they've been a decent back at home. They're a team that, they're not very good, but Jaleel Hogan is a guy that I think is a really good basketball player. I think he's a guy that can definitely neutralize some things down low. I can't back Milwaukee under any circumstance. I actually kind of like Detroit Mercy if you must in this game.
Yeah, Detroit Mercy a little bit more active there, a little bit more up-tempo, as you can see. The one interesting dichotomy about this game, big man, I love to dip into this, and that's three-point shooting and three-point defending outside of the Power 5 conferences. 42% of shots from Milwaukee's offense come from three-point land. 39% is what Detroit gives up. And if you flip it on the other side, Detroit's offense shoots a stellar 38% as a team from the three-point line, and Milwaukee doesn't defend it that well. Who's hitting their shots in a big arena type is going to decide this one. I really don't have any play on this one, but I can see you. Give it a little bit more athletic team in this type of environment, because if the shots aren't going down, they're going to add a little bit more up-tempo game, maybe push the press a little bit.
One concern here for me, you look at the last game these two teams played, 55 foul shots. Again, I'm not sure why the officials want to continue doing this kind of thing. No one wants to watch games with this many foul shots. Keep in mind, Detroit Mercy has major issues with fouls per game.
Yes, they do.
24 per game. That is very high. That's one of the worst in the country. Here's the problem, though. UW Milwaukee, 64.5% as a team. You look at on the road, 61.7% as a team from the foul line. They can't cash in.
That's a really good point on that one. Really good point.
That's what makes UW Milwaukee an impossible side to back in this spot. If you don't like Detroit Mercy, avoid it. Again, you're betting on bad basketball teams. Jay, I've noticed from you have a weird way of always picking some of the worst possible games on the card. Now, I'm not coming at you. I'm just telling you.
I like it.
Again, I agree, but I don't mind. I love small conferences. But I think you're looking at the wrong way in this game. A lot of the games you're looking at are you don't want to bet on bad teams. They're going to burn your money. There's a hard way to cap these teams. There's a reason these teams are playing today. They're not.
I mean, even being, in the game a long time doing this, the games that you struggle with are the games, for me anyway, are the games like this. When you take two bad basketball teams, drop them in a do or die situation in a neutral arena, there's a lot of things you can just flip a coin on that one.
No, I know. I just think the definitive edge here would be that foul thing. I mean, listen, if Milwaukee can find a way to make free throws today, they'll probably win this game.
Yeah, nobody's defending any on the defensive side of the ball for both teams. They don't defend anything. 2-point line, free throw line, 3-point line. It doesn't matter. The offenses should reign here. Just a matter of who's going to be making their shots today in this one.
Yeah, I mean, you look at during the season, split the season series. I guess I'd go Detroit, but not in love with it. Let's answer this one. This is interesting. Do you guys ever care if one team has a definitive advantage in travel time or distance to the conference tournament arena, whether that fan base is set? Look, I'm going to tell you one thing. Unless you're dealing with high-end conference tournaments, Donnie, I know you can agree here.
Yeah.
Crowd means nothing. I mean, these conference tournaments are not well attended unless you root specifically for the team. And again, you look at yesterday. I'll go back to that Campbell game. There were probably 7 or 8 Campbell fans in that place, other than the school themselves. Yeah. It's not like Joe and Janny Smith are traveling to go watch Mighty Campbell play in the Big South tournament. There's not many people doing it. For me, go ahead, Don.
No, backing off of that point there is if you take a look when he's asking, travel time, distance in the arenas, do a little bit of homework and find out who's actually playing these games. In the MAC tournament, the Metro Atlantic, the home team is Siena there. That's their home court. They're going to get a bump. If you watched last night some of these smaller conference tournament games, Winthrop was the home team. That's who's hosting that tournament. So take a look at teams that are familiar with their environment, might be playing at home because they're going to have a built-in home crowd. I don't care if the tournament says, you have to sit on the away bench, even though you're actually the home team in this environment. That's their gym. That's their arena. That's where they practice. Take advantage of those type situations because if Siena goes up against a Monmouth, that's not a true neutral court situation. Siena actually is going to have 10,000 fans in that building rooting for them on a quote-unquote neutral court.
Same thing here with Detroit Mercy and Milwaukee. This is a road game for Milwaukee.
There you go.
This is a home game for Detroit Mercy. I know it's not in their Callahan Hall home gym, but they're definitely going to have the decided edge here. I don't know that it matters either way because I get the feeling 80% of Detroit doesn't give a flying fuck if Detroit Mercy's playing today. Willie Green's not walking through the door tonight. Dick Vitale's not coaching on the sidelines. So, again, by the way, I don't know if you knew that, Don. You knew Dick Vitale coached the Detroit Mercy?
Yes, I did. That's where all those pictures come from, how great of a coach he was, and that's where you get all the anecdotes from.
Sure. A couple more here, Don. Today, interesting game, kind of an interesting situation. Wichita in that other Missouri Valley game, laying a big number, 21.5 against Bradley. Bradley's
I'm staying full away. Again, it's one of those situations. It's a neutral court. And again, in these type of situations, this isn't a regular season game where, you have 4 or 5 days to relax after the game. You're really going to press everything. It's survive in advance. Whether Wichita State wins by 2 or 22, it doesn't really matter to them. Do they want to put on a show? Do they want to have a good flow game? You're going to get everybody in rhythm. I agree with that. But there's going to be 6 to 7 minutes left in that game. If it's 25 points, Wichita State is not staying in this one and looking to press. So
just going to put it out there, Don. This Bradley Braves team, 12-7 in conference against the spread this year.
Yep.
For whatever reason, they're turning up, playing well.
Yeah.
And like you said, end of games. Why do they care about winning by 22 if they can win, 81, 66? Does it really matter?
I think it's perfect time there. We got on the message board Oliver Tan saying he has some thoughts or wants some thoughts on Murray State and UT Martin. Should we give him any leans here for this one?
Give out that play of the day, Don. We'll wrap it up here. We got a couple more we'll do right after this, and then we'll move on. What do you got for play of the day, Donnie?
Yep. Here's what we're going to look at. Excuse me for a minute. Getting into this game, Murray State and Tennessee Martin. Yeah, exactly. I'm so excited about this game. I had to put myself on mute and just clear the throat on this one. If we look at Murray State coming in hot in this tournament, the fourth game is the game I look at. And what I mean by that, they played 2 straight games. The double overtime game, I think, is going to help Murray State here, and hear me out. Murray State came out last night, Jeff, on the game and was slow to get involved in the game. I believe they were down 15-3 at one point, worked their way back and won that game. That downtime after that hangover of winning the double overtime is completely gone. UT Martin's going to step into this game. If you look 2 previous games in conference, big man, that we talked about, they played to 83-76 and 94-86, splitting both of these games. The one thing you want to look at is tempo. Does Tennessee Martin really move tempo? Not quite, but the good thing is Murray State's going to move this game along. 2 key equivalents that you want to look at. Number 2 and number 3 in conference, both of these offenses that are matching up. The exact opposite equation is what you want to take place. What I mean by that, 11th and 9th overall on efficiency and defense. The 3 balls are going to rain tonight. It's a close-lined game, meaning you want that 6.5-point game with a minute and a half to go to get that extra 15 points. Me and the big man are going to lean towards the over 153 in this situation as our right side of campus play of the day.
Yeah, I mean, tempo, both these teams high, Murray particularly high. Again, I backed them the last 2 nights. I'm all over Murray in this tournament. I like the positive momentum they've had, and they're playing well on the offensive end. And we know as a whole they don't play a whole hell of a lot of defense. Neither of these teams do. You're going to see a lot of fouls in this game. You're going to see a lot of opportunities for easy buckets. I like the 153. I like the over. Let's make that the play of the day.
Let's do it.
Couple more here. Do you consider a revenge factor if the favored team is away, or how much is a factor? Look, I throw out a lot with revenge. I don't really in the conference tournament care at all about that, because I think wholeheartedly every team cares at this point. I don't think what happened in the regular season means too much here, personally. What do you think about that?
No, I don't. I mean, other than like NFL football, where if you beat a team in your conference twice, you get the bump over them in the tiebreaker. In college basketball, it's much more fluid than that. These teams are playing, 20 conference games, mixing it up over 10 different opponents. They can probably barely even remember the 3.5 weeks ago that they played the team there. Do I like it? Yes, when one team has beaten the team twice heading into the conference tournament, but we see it a lot. Just throw that out, because, again, it's a different environment. You're both playing it down. I mean, I don't really know how much you would have with the bigger teams like the Wichita States, and you really want to play them because you're not going to beat them anyway. But on the lower level there, anything can happen. These are kids, 18, 19, 20 years old. Whether the shots fall or don't fall sometimes come down to a little bit of luck. I don't put too much influence on that heading, especially into conference play here, Jeff.
Yeah, me either. Any info on the Drexel game? I don't got a whole hell of a lot on that
Put
one, Joe.
On that one, yeah.
Yeah, listen, I don't think James Madison's good at all. I got to be honest, I would probably take the points there. This JMU team is lost.
Drexel on the road. I mean, technically they're both on the road, but Drexel away from home at the DAC is not a very good basketball team overall. Neither is JMU. Again, whose shots are going to fall? I think there's much better options out there than maybe just flipping a coin or just taking the points in this one. But if you're going to ask me, hey, I mean, we're from the Philly area, I'm going to lean Drexel, of course.
Yeah, I think Zach Spiker's done a nice job there as far as offensively, they're going to put up points. It's just, can they get a stop or two late? Dartmouth, Penn, someone's asking about. Look, Penn needs this one to get into the Final Four. But do I want to lay 11.5?
A lot of points in the Ivy.
Really.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. Quickly, I don't have an opinion on that one. I think Penn will win.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
They're fighting, but Penn, just a little bit of background on there. Penn and Columbia are going to fight for that 4th seed. So in those situations, both teams really need to win. But I did read an equation today, which I got, that basically says this game for Penn tonight doesn't mean much. The big one is the following game that Penn has. Whether or not they lose tonight, they can still win their next game and automatically get in. So just a little food for thought in that one. If you're looking at laying Penn, even though they technically have to win, they really don't.
Right. Winthrop, Gardner-Webb, I think Winthrop has obviously the home edge here, clearly. But this Gardner-Webb team's playing some good basketball right now. Yeah, they really, as far as stats are concerned, going to be right there in this game, I think. I think the one concern I have clearly would be the foul shooting issues. This Gardner-Webb team struggles to score from the foul line, 62%. But again, they have the great neutralizer in the 3-ball. I think Winthrop is, to me, the team that will probably win this conference. I think they're going to get a layup in the final game if they can get there after tonight's win. They're lucky that UNC Asheville is probably out, because I felt like they were the team that could probably beat them. But the way Winthrop plays at home, the way they have kind of just owned this gym this year, I'm not crazy about Gardner-Webb in this spot. I will say, though, I get the feeling this is a closer game than people might think. The problem with me, and why I don't want to bet it personally, I don't like to back teams under 70% for the foul, and I just don't want to do it. But Gardner Webb's playing good basketball right now.
To be honest with you, I mean, clearly you would think the better side is Winthrop here. Just getting some of the updated lines here. 6, Jeff? See, I mean, it's basically their home court. That's a little short. And just reading into some line options, you know, they're going to be in this right to the end. I mean, I was surprised. I would have had that pegged somewhere, Jeff, around 8.5, 9, 6, and maybe, you know, that little sharp money comes in. It looks like Gardner Webb is actually getting more of the tickets and the money to start. So that's a little disconcerting if you're trying to back Winthrop here in a favorite role.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in this conference. I mean, dogs have kind of, you know, they've been firing in this one totally. Big man, do you like Loyola Chicago? No, I liked them way early in the year, but I don't at all anymore. Ball State sucks, says Anton.
Guan, Ball State -5. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be on this game, but I definitely sort of like a side here with Ball State. Everything is going to be on the line for them, still jockeying for position and maybe even winning the MAC West in this situation. Northern Illinois is a complete tank down the stretch. Whether they win or lose tonight, it doesn't matter. They're just going to try to maybe make a run in the MAC tournament. Ball State is one of those situations where they have everything to play for tonight, and it's going to be senior night where NIU fading down the stretch, not much to play for. But then again, we always strike up that conversation, big man. Miami, Ohio, worst team. Akron, best team. Senior night, laying 15 points. Bang, outright loss. So be careful in these conferences.
Yeah, this today you really, and tomorrow even, you really have to be cognizant of games that matter and games that don't matter. There are plenty tonight. Don, let's kind of wrap it up here and end the show here. Yeah, I think we gave plenty of info. We obviously like the over 153, our play of the day in Murray State, Tennessee State. As far as anything else, obviously I have a couple premiums today. I think that Northern Iowa line got away from anyone. If you like Northern Iowa, you missed the boat there. I'm not crazy about laying 2.5 ever with that team. Other than that, I'm not in love with too much tonight, to be brutally honest with you. Friday, I normally just take to kind of let things play out, see what's going on, and I watch a lot of these games, get some good information. 2 things before we go, Donnie. First thing, I think it's a great question. Player of the year. Who's your player of the year? For me, I think it's Caleb Swanigan, personally. I think what Caleb Swanigan has done, I mean, 24 double-doubles. I mean, that's astounding, man. Yeah. He'd be the first player since Tim Duncan to average at least 18.5, 12.5, and 3 assists. How is that not a player of the year? I think the only knock for him would be the conference he plays in. I like Frank Mason. Clearly, because
if you look at, and a lot of times in this situation, it's always, Swanigan does his meat and potatoes work, big man, down low. It's ugly. It's 19-10. When you watch, Frank Mason leading comebacks, always the ball in his hand, it's hard. It's like the quarterback MVP in the NFL. The guy with the ball in his hand the most usually gets that tilt. I love the way Frank Mason, take Frank Mason off of Kansas, and they're in a world of trouble. The same thing can apply, obviously, if you take Swanigan off of Purdue. I would just lean Frank Mason in this instance, go a little chalk in that one.
Yeah, it's definitely a great question, though. Player of the year is BMOC. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Donnie as well. Hey, before we go, let's talk about this bad beat, Don. Justin made this aware to me. I didn't know what happened, but I guess there was a kid or a bettor that made them aware of it, SBR. I guess he had a 10-team parlay. He needed Texas State plus 6.5 to get the cover. Late in the game, Don, listen to this. 22 seconds left. Kevin Tilbury hits a 3. Texas State goes up 4 with 22 seconds left.
Yes.
Jay Wright goes down for UL Lafayette. Bang, 3-pointer. It's 1-point game. Texas State makes a free throw. They go up 74-72 with 14 seconds left. Jay Wright, another ties it 74-74. We go into overtime. Texas State loses by 10 in overtime, burning the 6.5-point ticket. That's tough. I mean, but again, overtime has been the killer for a lot of people this year. Whether you have an over or under,
especially dogs go to die.
Yeah, that's where. Amen. You look at the other day, Temple Tulane last Saturday. Yep. I mean, that game was a 3 or less game the whole way through. it goes to 2 overtime somehow.
Especially if you have Tulane. Like, how painful is that where Tulane hits a 3/4 or, basically a half-court shot to send it to overtime. And if you have that ticket, you're like, miss it. And they make it, and then you go to overtime. Some people had that 10, 10.5, depending where you fell off. That was amazing.
I always love those people and that give out 10-team. They play a 10-team parlay, and then someone goes, he didn't hedge?
Yeah.
How could he hedge? What's he going to hedge there? I mean,
probably 6 of the teams were in play at the same time.
And that's why when you do a parlay, it's clear. If you're going to do a parlay and you have a game you're not sure about, maybe you want to put it as the last game and maybe get
or at least stagger it so you have like a 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock. So if it does ever boil down to that, you could lay off.
It's a lottery ticket at the end of the day. It has no shot. I mean, you're going to hit it randomly, but again, how much did you put in the parlays to hit that one? For me, it's just not something I do. I don't have. I'd rather take my money and go and just at least I can give it to a girl and maybe I'd get a shot with her.
Yeah.
At least maybe she'll go out and buy herself something and say, you know what, I like this guy.
By the way, Burns on the message board, meaningless threes have killed me all year, haven't they all? How about last night? I believe it was the UTSA game, Charlotte game last night, which I had a little side action wager on under 150. I'm ready to pop the cork on the champagne, maybe smoke a cigar, and there goes the 3 ball at the end of the game, no time on the clock to win it. But we've all been there. Even how about layups? Last night in the Charleston Southern game, it's a 15-point line with Winthrop. Game doesn't mean anything. White point guard who's supposed to shoot a 35-foot 3 to somehow get the team back in the game decides to take it to the rack with a nice reverse layup, bounces around, 14-point game. Everybody shakes hands. Somebody won and lost over that play that meant nothing. It happens to the best of us.
Oh yeah, no, hey, listen, bad beats are part of the business, man. I mean, you gotta just go with what happens. You never know.
Yep.
But that's gonna be it for today, guys. As always, we'll be back. We got Tuesday, we got the roundtable. Things are really ratcheting up here at SBR Sports Picks and SBR SportsbookReview.com. Got a lot of coverage coming up for the tournament. Got good baseball stuff coming up as well. Lisa Roy, max 2-team parlays. 10 is outrageous. I agree with you, honey. I agree with you. Stick with the 2 or 3 team. Even if you do it, I don't go above 2 teams personally, but yeah.
Look, and there's nothing even like I agree with the 2-team parlay. Just take it from a professional point of view. If you have a game at 1 o'clock and a game at 6 and you parlayed it, you won the first one. You basically have house money in your hand. You can hedge, lay off. You can take a look at the halftime numbers. There's a lot of ways to make money if you're smart by betting short-term parlays like that.
Yeah, I got to tell you, in like the NFL, I know in our area, Donnie, reverses are big. I came up on reverses, doing little reverses. You get 4 times your payout on 2 teams. That's always been kind of my thing. But we're back Wednesday with another edition of the Right Side on Campus. As always, feel free to reach out to Donnie or I if you have a question. I know we're both doing some really good things with our premium selections. Also, with our free picks, we're rolling right now. I urge you. Join me tomorrow. I'll be on with the Breadman. We'll go over the Saturday games on the Saturday sit-down. Also, we will preview 1 o'clock Eastern, the Danny Garcia-Keith Thurman fight. I'll have Andreas Hale on, a contributor to the SBR family. So we're going to talk Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Don, a Philly guy, Danny Garcia going for the unification bouts. It should be a good one up in Brooklyn. We'll chat about all that tomorrow. Donnie, where can we find you for anyone that is new to the show? Yeah, come get me at DonnieRightSide.com. That's where my premium play action is. But again, we're here all to make money. Yeah. Whether or not you want to pay for the picks or not, that's completely up to you. As you see on my Twitter account, at RightSideVP, come holler at me. I mean, we watch a ton of basketball, shoot it back. Don, we're an open book, aren't we? Exactly. I mean, hey, ask us questions. We'll give it back. And, we're softies in the heart. If you DM us and say, hey, man, you got anything tonight? I'm in a world of hurt or whatever it is, maybe we can point you in the right direction. But again, we love basketball. We love sports betting. It's exactly why we do this show, and it's why it's a lot of fun. Hopefully the passion does come through. But come holler at us. Just you got a game on a tip or, boy, that's a bad call. We probably have it on. We'll go back and forth. Let's have some fun this weekend. I will try my best to give you an opinion on any team in the big man's the best in the business, man, as you guys hear it. Guy has knowledge on every single game, and it's not BS, and it shows. I try. I just try to give good opinion. By the way, no podcast today. We're not going to have podcasts on days we do this show. It's very redundant at this point. I got to go out and do some errands. I got people blowing my phone up right now. We got to go. Thanks for Justin for producing the show. Thank you, Donnie, as always. Man. We'll be back next week. Catch me tomorrow on SBR Sports Picks. Everyone have a great weekend. Good luck and enjoy the games. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend now.